Yo guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we're benchmarking Stalker 2 Harder Chernobyl with a new 1.6 update patch. There is one YouTuber who is very active on my channel, Old Time Benchmarks. He asked me to retest this game when the patch comes out. The patch was just released, I think about 1 day ago. And so we're going to be testing it with my overclocked MSI Vanguard RTX 5090 graphics card and Ryzen 9 9950X 3G CPU. So firstly, as always, I'll stop and show you the graphics settings really quickly. So currently we are running a render resolution of 3840 by 2160 on my 4K 144Hz display. We are running an overclocked RTX 5090 graphics card. 100% field of view. VSync is turned off, no frame rate limits, and video low fixed latency. We'll go ahead and turn that on. I'm not sure why that was off. We are also running HDR. You have to wait 2 or 3 days for that to process on YouTube. And then as for the advanced graphics settings, everything is Epic preset with everything fully maxed out. NVIDIA DLAA, so native 4K, and no frame generation. We will test frame generation as well as DLSS quality a little bit later with some different resolutions, including 4K, and we'll take things from there. Alright, so I wanted to kind of test a little bit of the open world environment, which is around here, and then we'll test this city environment, which is in that direction with NPCs. So we're going to do a little bit of a walking around here through the forest and foliage, and then we'll head over to where the NPCs are in the city environment to see what kind of difference it makes for the FPS. The only the difference I've noticed is there's some weird kind of flickering shadows here, which I've been noticing on some buildings. And I did read the patch notes of the 1.6 update, which I will link in the video description. It does add a whole slew of new updates and gameplay fixes. It also does a lot of seems to adjust a lot of the world assets. I don't know if it's like the textures or what, but there's a lot of things that it actually modifies and changes. So let's see how the FPS reflects here in the city environment, and then we will start changing the resolutions and DLSS settings. But to be quite honest with you, I haven't really played this title as much as I wanted to. I don't know. There's so many games to play these days, it's hard to keep track of them all, but this is one title that I never really kind of dove deep into the storyline, if anything, but I do like to play it. It's fun, and it's fun to benchmark. Okay, so a mixed city environment and also open world, foresty area. I have an average FPS of 74, 1% low setting at 53, max FPS at 82. Alright, so now let's go ahead and let's enable DLSS quality mode. So let me go ahead and switch this over to quality mode. We'll go ahead and apply that setting here. Reset the afterburner. And then again, I'm going to go back to the forest area without any city environment, and then we'll go over to the small little town there with the NPCs. But yeah, it's always had like a very mysterious and scary type vibe with the sounds and the music. It's just a very scary, desolate world that's really run down and taken over, if you will. Try to get away from those anomalies there. Alright, so now let's approach the city environment. We'll see what kind of FPS we get. Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can notice a difference in the graphics. I really, honestly, I mean, maybe because I haven't played this game in a while, I'm not sure if I could fully see a difference. But what I will do is I will link a video the last time I tested this on my 5090 when I was changing resolutions. I'm not sure which actual version of the game. It's going to be about a month earlier, but I'll compare that to this video in terms of FPS so we can get an idea of what kind of FPS changes there are with the 1.6 update here. Looks like it's starting to turn to night, so I'll try to be quick on the next setting here. Okay, so 4K DLSS quality mode, average 89 FPS, 1% low setting at 50, max FPS at 111. Alright, now let's lower down the resolution to 2560 by 1440p. give me one moment for monitor to respond, and then we'll go back to DLAA mode, so we'll have native 1440p. Switch this over. DLAA, apply. Reset the afterburner. And yeah, there's a new thing here. There's a journal that you can push P. It will pull up the journal, and it'll pull up in relation to where you are in the storyline, which I thought was kind of cool. So I did notice that. That comes up a few times. Been noticing that. I know that was one of the fixes that they did. I'm gonna reset the afterburner one more time here. That way, we had a few stutters there. So yeah, the first time I opened this game, there's a few little minor stutters during loading, so I did let it kind of even out, and then I started recording to make sure the engine was adjusted. And there was, of course, a shader compilation start of the game, which is always normal when installing new drivers or getting a major update for the game. So it looks like the city environment average around 78 FPS, 1% listing at 46. Max FPS at 96. So now let's go over to the foliage area / forest. And I'm assuming it'll be a little bit higher because the city environment is a lot harder to render. There's NPCs and more assets to render. Yeah, because now you can see we're in a higher FPS than the average. So 1440p native averaging 91 FPS, 1% listing at 52, max FPS at 119. Alright, so now let's enable DLSS calls mode at 1440p. Go and apply that setting here. Reset the afterburner. And I would say ideally on the 5090, probably the sweet spot would be 4K DLSS quality mode. And if you wanted to run frame generation, which will lower your 1% lows, you can. I will use frame generation at the end of the video. I'll do 4K DLSS quality mode with frame generation, but I'm going to save that for the last. So I'm not a huge proponent of frame generation, but a lot of these other Unreal Engine 5 titles end up getting really lower 1% lows when running frame generation. So I'm not a huge exact fan of it, but sometimes it is necessary for games like Cyberpunk 2077 and those very heavy to render games. Okay, so the foliage environment averaged 124 FPS, 1% low at 77, max FPS at 138. Now let's go over to the city environment here, as my player character catches his breath. I'm running around so much. And then we're probably going to see these numbers drop some because of all the buildings and NPCs and stuff. I'm sure these puddles do also create a bit of a lower FPS setting here. Yeah, we're seeing the average get down lower and lower as I keep approaching here.
Dark city, in the deep dark zone, there's a deep dark house. Inside, in a deep dark room, is a bunch of stalkers. Because they can't figure out how to change the light bulb.
Okay, so 1440p with DLSS quality mode, your average 104 FPS, 1% low listing at 53, max FPS at 138. Now let's go back to native resolution, then we'll do 1080p. And then we'll finish off with DLSS quality mode and frame generation. I don't think I applied that DLSS. Sometimes I forget to click apply, but we'll go back to it real quick. 1 second. Put this to DLAA. Apply. Alright, reset the afterburner. And we'll do just like what we've just been trying to do for the past few sessions here. We'll test the open world foliage area. And then we'll go back to the city environment with NPCs and buildings to render. Surprisingly enough, it is still rendering a pretty good amount of the GPU. I mean, 86% GPU utilization here, 90% here, 1080p, which is pretty surprising. So the engine does scale pretty well, it seems, even these lower resolutions, so it's pretty cool. Okay, so the foresty area, average FPS 119, 1% low stay at 72, max FPS at 143. Now, as we approach the city environment, there's going to be a lot lower FPS here. You can see the 1% low is dropping, and average FPS is dropping too. I'm happy it still is daytime because I want to keep this kind of benchmark even with a daytime environment, not because I think night is going to be a different performance setting, but it looks like we still have enough daylight to finish off the benchmark here. Okay, so 1080p native averaging 99 FPS, 1% low staying at 49, max FPS at 143 here. Okay, now let's go back and change the resolution back to 4K, if I can see what I'm doing here. Go ahead and apply that, and then we'll enable DLSS quality mode, and then we'll enable frame generation. And then frame generation, we'll go ahead and enable that. And then before I end the video, what I'll do is I'll also disable DLSS quality mode, just run frame generation with 4K native. Alright, so this is 4K DLSS quality mode with frame generation. Those FPS numbers are actually pretty impressive. I'm surprised the 1% lows are that high, so that's pretty impressive. Maybe the 1.6 patch does fix the optimization of this title, because those are some really high FPS numbers. And I'm especially impressed by the 1% lows here. I see a whole... I'm sure you guys saw them. They're down there. They're armed, so I'm not going to deal with those guys. Just wanted to kind of do a peaceful benchmark. Nothing really too intense. But looks like 4K DLSS quality mode with 2x frame generation. Before this sitting over is 168 FPS. 1% low stay at 104. Max FPS at 183. So now let's approach the city environment here, and then we're going to see the numbers drop. Yeah, I'm actually pretty impressed that frame generation is working as well. It's pretty good optimization. I think they may have made some adjustments here.
Commander, there's one headed straight for us.
So 4K DLSS quality mode with 2x frame generation, average FPS at 156, 1% low staying at 79, and a max FPS at 183. Alright, so the last setting, which I already mentioned I was going to do, is I'm going to disable DLSS and go back to native rendering with 2x frame generation. Reset the afterburner. And that actually may be another interesting sweet spot setting to run native resolution. Not that you need to, but if you wanted to and you want to use the frame generation assist, so. Those FPS numbers are still pretty impressive. Yeah, not bad at all. So averaging 131, 1% low staying at 92. Max FPS at 136. One little minor stutter there, probably traversal. Alright, looks like we have just enough daylight to finish off the benchmark here. Okay, so
I'm used
4K
to everything
native
now,
with 2x frame
but those
generation,
anomalies
average
still give me
126
the creeps.
FPS, 1% low setting at 70,
Bullets won't help you against
max
those.
FPS at 136. I think that'll wrap up the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video benchmark, the 1.6 update patch of Stalker 2 Harder Chernobyl. If you did enjoy the video, do give this video a like. If you want to see more content like this, more RTX 5090 gaming benchmarks along with my Ryzen 9 9950X3D CPU, feel free to subscribe. Thanks for watching, appreciate all the support, and also thank you old time benchmarks. You've been a very loyal supporter of my channel. Greatly appreciate you commenting and watching my videos. It's very much so appreciated. Do check out this channel too. He does also benchmark a lot of modern titles in the RTX 4090 graphics card. Anyways guys, thanks for watching, appreciate all the support, and I'll see you guys for another video benchmark soon enough, and I'll see you guys around. Peace out.